At some point in our lives, most of us feel broken, like there's something deeply, deeply wrong with us, and we don't know how to fix that. It is such a painful feeling, and it's so understandable. I'd like to talk a little bit about why we feel that way, because when we understand it, we can begin to A, recognize that it's not our fault, and B, figure out what we can do to get out of that feeling so that we can move on with feelings of grace and power and strength. For most of us, that feeling of broken came from trauma, whether to ourselves as individuals or passed down through intergenerational trauma. But also we need to look at the impact of our culture and the ways in which our culture traumatizes us all the time. How often have we heard some kind of message that says you're not good enough, either because you're not buying the thing that the commercial says you should buy, or because you're not getting whatever grades other people think you should get, or you don't have this job or that house or that car or this partner. Our culture is full of messages that tell us that we're not good enough. How would we ever not internalize that? But that doesn't mean that there is something wrong with us. There's something wrong with the culture, not us as individuals. So if we can begin to give ourselves a little bit of compassion and grace and understanding that it's not our fault, that these feelings are really lies that our culture is telling us, that can be a really meaningful first start. This ramification of our culture also creates chronic stress. All of the ways in which we get spun up from those feelings of not being good enough, we're not doing enough, we don't look right, all of these feelings can give us chronic stress. And that stress itself can exacerbate that feeling of being broken. Our bodies are attuned to, are things working right or are things working wrong? Our bodies are always looking to either reduce threat or maximize our well-being. So if there's a constant chronic threat around and I'm not okay, I'm not okay, I'm not okay message, then our bodies are going to react to that like I'm not okay. There's a principle that Dr. Stephen Porges shared called neuroception, and that's the process by which our nervous system looks for threats around us and within us. In fact, we're constantly looking for threats. So constantly, like several times a second, that level of constantly. And for those of us who experienced complex trauma, that can create a hypervigilance, right? If when we look around for danger, we find it, then we're going to look even harder to make sure that we can keep ourselves safe. Our brains then, when they get the signal, oh, I'm not okay, something is wrong, tries to explain it. It tells a story of what's going wrong as a way to try to understand it. So when we have this constant feeling of I'm not okay, our brain says, oh, how can I explain this? I must be broken. So that's one of the places where that languaging comes from, is our brain saying, oh no, something is very, very wrong. What can I do about it? But often it can't figure out what to do because of all of these existential threats, all of those influences from our culture, from our family, from climate change and the economy and all of these things, right? All of these chronic stressors that make us feel like we're broken. But again, this is our body trying to take care of us. It's actually not broken. In fact, our bodies are working exactly the way they're designed to, which is to identify a threat and figure out how to resolve it. The problem is a lot of these don't feel like they're resolvable, at least not in the moment. And so that feeling of powerlessness, that I can't do anything about these issues, creates a shutdown in us. Because our bodies say, well, if I can't do anything to address the threat, then I need to protect myself by being small and slowing down blood. If you think about, if the threat were a bear, right? You're sitting in the cave and there's a bear there and you don't have a way to run from it or to fight it, of course, you're going to curl down, try to make yourself less of a target, and your body's going to slow your circulation down. So if you did get damaged, then you wouldn't bleed out. I mean, I know that's sort of morbid. I apologize for that, but it helps to recognize that from our body's perspective, a threat is a threat. It could be a bear, it could be your boss, it could be a flood, fire, or drought. Our nervous systems can't tell the difference between each of these threats or identify what we can do about them. So when we get into that feeling of powerlessness, we're going to experience that shutdown, which is why a lot of times when we're having that broken feeling, we can't get out of bed. We can't get off the couch. We don't have energy to do anything because our bodies are in conservation mode. They're trying to keep us safe through a looming threat that we feel powerless over. So what can we do about this? Because we don't want to stay in that broken feeling. It is a hideous, excruciating place to be. One thing that we can do is look for a small action, a small task that we can do that doesn't feel overwhelming, that doesn't feel like it would be taxing on our system. When we can find one action to take, it shows our bodies that we're not actually powerless. We do have the ability to take action to make changes. And then that helps us build momentum to the next step and the next one, so that over time we can help ourselves move out of that crippling feeling of broken and into a place of strength and empowerment. I know I talk a lot about small actions, but truly I mean it. This is a big deal. Find one thing. Is there a dirty dish that you can move into the kitchen? Is there an outfit that you could change into that would feel good? Anything that you can do that's nourishing to your body, nourishing to your environment, that can help you build that momentum by showing yourself you are not powerless. And that will begin to help break that broken feeling. I would also ask that you take some time to be really gentle with yourself, because this is a difficult thing and it's something that so many of us struggle with. But if you can give yourself the gentleness and compassion and let go of any feelings of guilt or shame, that also will help you move out of this state. Just recognize this isn't anything that's wrong with you. This is your body trying to protect you and love you. It's not your fault. I'm Aurora J. Miller. This was another You Ask, I Answer. If you'd like another dose of hope, please come over to the YouTube channel, like and subscribe. If you do have a question that you would like me to answer, drop it in the comments or slip into my DMs. I'm at Aurora J. Miller. I hope to see you there.